Hi guys, KevLar here, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another PC build. Again, it's a PC build with a budget, but we want fairly good specs in terms of graphics card and CPU power, but we're going lower end or budget on most of the other components to keep the cost down. So we've got an RTX 2060 Super and a Ryzen 5 3600, going for 16GB of RAM, a SSD boot drive, a 1TB hard drive, 650 watt bronze rated power supply, a basic A320 motherboard, and my favourite budget PC case, the First Player DK-D4. Right, let's get into building it. Okay, so we're starting off here with the motherboard. Now, as you can see, I've already got the CPU cooler on there because this actual motherboard combination came from the customer themselves. So what it was, we upgraded their PC recently and now they want a new PC for their other son, and when we did the upgrades we actually bought their old parts off them to use them in another build at some point. So we're actually reusing their own parts for their new PC. So we're going to take it apart, clean it up because there's a bit of dust in there, make sure the thermal paste is fresh, and we can reuse these parts. Wow, yeah, look how dry and dusty that looks. So we'll give this a nice clean up and some really nice fresh thermal paste. Okay, cotton buds, some thermal material remover and some surface purifier. Place the CPU on one of those, put some of this on there, let that soak for a bit, put some on the cooler, and we'll just be giving that a nice wipe. Okay, that's all the thermal paste off. Let's just put some purifier on there. Okay, so the CPU's all nice and I just need to go and give this a good blowout and clean because it's a bit dirty at the moment. Right, so CPU, cooler all cleaned up. This also needs a bit of a clean up, so I've got my nice little brush here which I'm gonna just take off screen and do this outside to get rid of all of the dust. Right, there we go, all clean and shiny. Right, so in my other videos, you'll see I usually put my motherboard on top of its box, install the CPU cooler and RAM before I put it in the case. I'm going to do it a different way around this time because I'm filming for another video at the same time as this one. But for that video, I want to put the motherboard in the case first. So we're going to do that. Right, okay, here we are. I've got the motherboard installed. Now let's get the CPU in. Right, as usual, I'm going to lift up the lever on the motherboard, line up the little triangle, which you can see here, with the little triangle on the motherboard there, and slot the CPU in place. There we go, that went in nicely, and then close the lever. CPU is in. Next we'll put the cooler on. Right, so first of all a nice dollop of thermal paste in the middle of the CPU, which is my preferred method. Okay, this is when it'll get a little bit more fiddly compared to doing it on the actual box because I need to get the back plate in place and screw the cooler on when there's not really a flat surface holding the back plate in place. Right, so there we go. I put that in off camera, just finishing off screwing it in now, making sure all these screws are fully tightened. Okay, they are tightened to the point of no more turning. Then we plug this in to the CPU fan connector at the top of this motherboard up here. Okay, and then we'll tuck that round once we've got the RAM in place. Okay, next we'll get our RAM installed. So here we have 2 sticks of 8GB, 3000 MHz Viper RAM. Now, sorry, I haven't been going through the prices. So as I mentioned, this as a motherboard combo CPU cooler was from the customer themselves, and we priced the CPU and cooler together at 120 quid when I took it off him a while back. And the motherboard we priced at 20 quid. Then the RAM, again this is second hand, purchased off eBay for just under £40. Okay, RAM is in. Now there's no M.2 slot on this motherboard and we're going for a standard SSD anyway, not M.2, so that's fine for us. Right, okay, we've got everything on the motherboard now, the CPU, the cooler and the RAM. Now we're going to install the power supply. I've gone for the Aerocool power supply. I really like these. They're a good budget power supply. They're really good quality for the price, and they come with a really nice flat black cables which look really decent rather than those horrible ketchup and mustard cables that I hate, which you still get on some pretty expensive power supplies. I don't know why they do that. It's a bronze rated one and 650 watt, which will be perfect for this PC. I've actually already started installing it. I did the recording and didn't have my audio on. So it's in, plugged in the CPU cable. Now we're just going to plug in the motherboard. We'll feed through the GPU cables and then we'll do the front panel cables on the motherboard. Right, okay, let's get the motherboard cable. pass that through here and plug it in. Okay, good. Then let's get the GPU cables and feed them through to the front as well. Okay, so we've got them there ready for later. Right, okay, now let's feed through all of these front panel cables to the front and plug them in the motherboard. Right, we'll start off with the HD audio and USB. HD audio going on the far left hand side of the motherboard. I'm not going to go into detail on where I'm plugging these in because I've got separate videos going through that. You don't want to see all of that again. Let's just get them all stuck in. In goes the USB. Right, USB-C. I've done this in a funny order. Usually I do this before the power supply, and now the power supply is in the way, so I've just unscrewed the power supply so I can fit that in. Power supply screwed back in. There we go, it's back in. Plug in the USB-C. Right, so now we've got these fiddly front panel connectors. Again, I'm not going to show exactly where they go because they are fiddly. Just get them in. There we go, they're all in nicely. Right, okay, and now we've got a couple of hard drives to put in. Right, okay, just got our hard drives in place. So we've got our SSD at the top and our HDD there. So we're just going to plug in the SATA cables. We need to feed through the side and plug them in the SATA ports here. Actually, let's just swap this second one out for an L-shaped one as well, so they both come in nice and flat. Yeah, that'll look better. Good. Last thing for these is to plug them in with some SATA power. Okay, they're plugged in. And then we've got our fans here, which need some Molex power. There we go. Lovely mess there. Right, so last part is the graphics card, the best part. So we've got a EVGA RTX 2060 Super. So prices are coming down. We managed to get this for £250. They've probably come down a little bit more since we bought it now, a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, decent card to get some decent 1080p gaming out of that, or even, well, 1440p as well. Right, so we'll get this in. Right, now first of all, I want to have a quick talk about this graphics card. Lovely card, EVGA ones always are, but it comes with one of these. I've never seen one of these before. Have you? It's great. So obviously on the front of the graphics card we've got our slots there for the power, and what this is, it slots into there like so the power connectors can come from the outside. I think that's brilliant because these cables coming down here are always pretty ugly, aren't they? So having the option to have the power cables coming out the side and going straight out the case, I think that's brilliant. So we'll see how it works in this case, whether it suits this case or not. If it does, then that's great, I love it. Right, okay, so graphics card's obviously going to go there. Power cables would come in down here. So I think I will go ahead and use this and have them coming out the side. I mean, with this case not being quite so wide, they're not going to feed straight through here, which would be the ideal situation, but they're still going to look a lot nicer coming down here, aren't they, than down the front. So let's get it plugged in. Okay, there we go, it's in. Right, make sure the clip's open. I've already taken off these. Slot it in. Okay, that's clipped into place. Right, we'll screw it into place. There we go. Okay, I didn't think too cleverly about getting these in, but we can unconnect this and then screw it in after. So there we go, I've got them in. I think I'll keep it going down there. But yeah, that looks a lot neater than them coming out the front. I like that. Right, okay, so we've done some cable management at the back. Always a little bit of a tricky one in this case, not a lot of space, but we've got it in. Always a bit of a bird's nest under there, but cable managed. Right, okay, that's us done. We will hook it up and see if it boots. Right, okay, PC's all set up on a test bench. Let's turn it on and see if it works. Got my Windows installation USB in the back, so we should be able to install Windows. Let's see what happens. Okay, good. We've got some lights, we've got some fans going. We have something happening on the screen, motherboard screen, and there we go. We've got the Windows set up. So perfect, it's all looking good. Right, okay, so here we are. PC is all built, done. Tested, done a heaven benchmark test, just put the score up on the screen now. Thermals are all okay and it's all good to go. Windows is all installed, so all good. Decent little PC. Now, going through the video, I didn't go through every single item and the prices that we paid for, so I'll just give you a quick total now. What PC have I got the stats on? Okay, yeah, so in total we spent £540 on all the parts, and I had a little bit of a service fee on top for me. Graphics card, obviously the most expensive part, so we paid 250 quid for that. Decent graphics card for the price, given the current market, which they're coming down, but it's good. Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, and then fairly budget parts for the rest. So yeah, decent budget gaming PC for that price. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Please do give us a like and subscribe if not already subscribed to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.